Okay, we're going to be going over the Anteater standalone transmission controller, the differences between the Anteater Pro and the standard version, and the install procedure, wiring up the TPS, what we have to do with the TV lever. Try to answer all your questions all in one video. So the main differences between the Pro and the Classic is you see the Classic has no digital screen. The Pro has a digital screen. So there you can see the differences between those two. The Pro has the two wires coming out of it so that we can do tap shifting. And what we've often been doing on the early trucks, like this is my 04.5 behind me, and I took my factory 04 shifter out of it and I knocked this roll pin out and I installed a 2007.5 to 2009 68 RFE shifter into my 04.5, and so now I can manually tap shift up and shift down. So all I had to do is cut the factory wires off and wire the two wires coming off the Anteater Pro remote right into this controller, and now I can tap shift. The orientation of which wire goes where does not matter. You can flip-flop these wires and the up and down will still work correctly. To install the harness, there's three main wires you need to connect. There's a red power wire, and that we connect to a key on power. You need to make sure that's a good solid source. We've seen on trucks, especially 4th gens, that during cranking the key on power is lost during cranking, and then it can actually put the Anteater in a red light non-communication mode. So make sure that whatever you're tapping your key on power is a true pure 12-volt source. In your ground wire, make sure that goes to a good solid ground, because incorrect ground can cause a bunch of connectivity issues, communication issues. The blue wire is for your throttle position signal, and that goes to your throttle position pedal pin. Would be your 0 to 4.5 volt reference, and that will be on pin number 5 for the 2005 and up electronic throttle pedals, and pin number 3 for the 2003-2004 trucks that have the accelerator pedal position up on the engine bay. Then the rest of the harness is self-explanatory. This is your 8-pin plug, plugs into your 8-pin transmission connector, and the other plug back here plugs into the output shaft speed sensor. That is where you get all your speed signals from the transmission that the Anteater uses to control the shift points. Okay, the next thing we need to cover is the throttle valve. The TV motor, which is found in all 2005 to 2007 48 REs, this motor will orientate and advance the throttle valve as you run your throttle. So when you go full throttle, you get full throttle pressure, high RPM shift points. With an Anteater, we need the throttle valve in a fixed position because we control the shift points by changing the governor pressure in equal steps. 0 psi for first gear, 45 to 60 psi for second gear, and 100 psi for third gear. So on trucks that have a TV cable, we have a fixed throttle valve bracket that bolts onto the transmission, and this goes onto your valve body, and we want to set this to where the throttle valve is advanced to about 80%. So if you push this towards the rear of the truck, that's 100% advanced, and if you back it off about 1/8 of an inch, you have about 80% advanced, and that's about where you want to be at. You can change depending how your valve body's set up, your overall mainline pressure will be affected as you advance this throttle valve. If you have a mainline pressure gauge on your truck, you'll notice as you advance this throttle valve further, your mainline pressure goes higher, but then it also requires more governor pressure to shift it 1-2, and that's why we have to adjust the governor pressure modifier in the Anteater software, which is your target pressure for second gear. So I'll go over that here in a little bit once we go over the tuning. But we have also found that instead of using the fixed throttle valve lever on the 2005 to 2007 trucks, if you have access to tuning your ECM through EFI Live or HP tuners, we can go in the TTVA table of the tune and set your throttle valve position to 41 degrees all the way through, whether you're 0% throttle, 100% throttle. We set all values to 41 degrees, and then you do not need this fixed throttle valve lever. You can just leave your TV motor hooked up to your truck and set your tuning to 41 degrees on the throttle valve TTVA table. If you remove your TTVA and use this lever, the truck will not go full fuel with an automatic tune file. So if you have an automatic tune file, you have to have the TV motor plugged in, or else the truck will not go full fuel and you'll have a derated fuel condition and you won't get full power out of your truck. So we recommend, if it's an 05 to 07, just get with your tuner, have him set the TTVA position to 41 degrees, and everything's happy. Okay, here you can see the Anteater powered on, and there's 3 buttons. The first button is the mode button that switches between auto and manual, as you can see there. The second button is the tune button, and there's 3 different tunes in the software that you can pre-program: tune 2, tune 3, and that could be for daily drive, race, or tow. And then that is a manual lockout for overdrive off if you're in auto mode. And then if you look, if I put this truck in drive, I can manually tap shift. When I push that button, it automatically switches it to manual mode, and it will tap through the gears back down. And if you put it in 4th gear, it will take off in 4th gear. It is a true manual mode. And then to switch it back out of manual mode, you just reach back there and put it back into auto mode. Anytime the Anteater Pro is communicating, you see these little dancing dots. Then you can also see throttle position. As I push the pedal, you see the pedal run from 0 to 100%. And the mile per hour will read off your output shaft speed. So anytime you get a screen that's not lit and a red light, that red light blinking, that means it has lost communication, and most likely it either lost power during cranking, or it has a bad connection in the truck. We often see this plug doesn't get snapped in all the way during install, so make sure the Anteater remote is plugged in securely. Okay, for a base crash course on this software, here you can see the tune file that is open, and this is the tune file that we send out as a base file for you guys. You come down here, you can adjust your tire size and your gear ratio. This makes your speed to your Anteater accurate. The governor pressure modifier is the set point for governor pressure for 2nd gear. So depending on your mainline pressure of your valve body, this may need to be adjusted. I'll explain this in the following screen. This is your throttle position for minimum voltage and maximum voltage, and you want to get your throttle position to be scaled 0 to 100%, so that as you run your pedal, when you go 100%, it runs through these shift points, and at low throttle, at 30% throttle, say, it runs through these shift points. So if your throttle position is not scaled accurately, then your shift points will not be accurate to the tune file. And these are fully adjustable. You can adjust your overdrive shift points. I would just highly recommend keeping them in this order, in the 2-1 downshift, then the 1-2 upshift, then the 3-2 downshift, etc. I have lockup crossing over, so I have 3rd gear lockup at 70% throttle, but then above 70% throttle I go into a 2nd gear lockup. So if you're doing towing with a heavy throttle, I would not do 2nd gear lockup because it'll be fairly harsh. If that's the case, I would bring lockup all the way up to 3rd gear for towing. Then this is tune number 2 that you select on your Anteater screen, and tune number 3. So you can have 3 pre-programmed tune files. You can see here, these are what we call a flatline tune. So basically it will shift at the same mile per hour regardless of your throttle position pedal. So if you have an older truck that doesn't have a TPS, you're putting an Anteater on, you could build tune 1 for daily driving, low throttle shift points, tune 2 for medium throttle shift points, and tune 3 for wide open throttle shift points. And this is also a better scenario if you're dirt track racing or doing something where you feel like you're pedaling it a lot. That way, if the transmission will only shift once you get to the desired mile per hour, regardless of your throttle position signal. Once you get your tune file changes made, you go File and save your tune file, and then you can close out of your tune file. After your tune file is saved, you come up here and hit the connect button. That will connect to your controller, and once you're connected, you can come over here and this will be lit up, and you can hit write to controller. You'll have a small window that pops up and it says successfully wrote to controller, and now your tune file is loaded in the Anteater. All you have to do is cycle your key power turn power off, turn power back on, and you're ready to go for a drive.